Hey, second grade writers. It's Mrs. Rosenzweig, and I'm here because we're going to work on the setting of our narratives and how to write a setting. So today, you can read these with me, but these are our learning goals. So get those reading voices out. I can review narrative writing and the narrative writing diamond. I can describe a setting of a story using my five senses. I can write a descriptive setting for a narrative story. I can think of descriptive words for my milestone narrative piece. Hopefully, you read those along with me and you're giving me a thumbs up saying, I can do these things and I'm ready for this learning today. So, the materials that you are going to need today are a pencil, the writing narrative plan the setting worksheet, and the grade 2 narrative writing diamond. You might also need a sticky note or something to write some important words on at the end, but I didn't put a picture here because I want you to choose where you're going to put those important words so you do not lose them. Maybe in a place where you are keeping the intro to your narrative milestone story is a great idea. So, before we jump into the setting of our story, let's think about this. What genre of writing are we learning about? Think it in your brain, say it out loud. If you said narrative writing, you are 100% correct. What do we know about this type of writing? Raise your hand if you said it can be about a character, problem, and solution. Okay. Raise your other hand if you said it could be about a personal experience. Nice job. So, what's the purpose of this type of writing? So, when we're writing narrative, why are we doing it? If you said to entertain an audience, you are correct. And how do we organize this type of writing? In a writing diamond. Yeah, very cool. So, let's remember last week, you and Mrs. Rice got together and you thought about a milestone, an important event in your life. Actually, you thought of a lot of them. And then you picked one. Okay? So we are going to, at the end of today's lesson, go back to thinking about that milestone that you chose. But before we do that, let's look at the writing diamond. Okay? So an entertaining narrative story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you can see those parts of the diamond in this picture. Okay? So, you have the entertaining beginning, which is what you worked on last week. You should have that written either in your writer's notebook or on a piece of paper in a safe place, right? If you are coming back and forth to school, you are bringing that with you. That is so important that you have that. That writing is a piece of gold. Today, we are going to work on the yellow section with the yellow arrow, and that's called the description of setting. Okay. Next week, we're going to work on the main event, which is that green one. And then the blue is that extended ending. So we're going to pause on the main event and extended end right now, and we're going to focus in on that description of setting. But before we talk about that setting, you really need to think about that entertaining beginning, right? Because the entertaining beginning and the setting are part of the beginning of your narrative. They kind of go together to hook your reader. So last week you talked about how the entertaining beginning has the introduction of the main character. It introduces your milestone. It includes sounds and action words. So go ahead, take a minute. You can pause the video. Look over the introduction that you wrote last week. Okay, so if you've done that, you can give me a thumbs up. And we're going to go ahead and look at the setting today. And we're going to practice the setting, and then we're going to think about the setting in our milestone piece. Okay? So the setting kind of allows you to paint a picture in your mind of where the story takes place. And the best way to paint a picture is to use your five senses. So think about those five senses that you know. Say them out loud. What are those five senses? Okay. And then we are going to think about some juicy, awesome, wow, amazing words that we can use in our setting. Okay. So I put together this list. It's not all of the wow words you could use, but it's some of them. So I thought of things that you can see or sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and feels. So here are words that you can use if you are describing these things. So, description of setting. What do you notice? I want you, while I'm reading this setting out loud, to think about what you notice, okay? Here's the questions I want you to ask yourself. Does it paint a picture in your mind? Does it use descriptive words from the five senses? Could we add another sentence to describe setting? Here we go. Splash. I heard the waves as I approached the beach. I could see lots of people sitting on towels and enjoying the sun. I was with my mom, my sister, my neighbor Ben, and his mom. So, before we go on, did it paint a picture in your brain? I kind of saw it. I started to see it in my brain. How about descriptive words? I heard maybe one or two. Okay. Do you think I could add another sentence? I think I could push myself to maybe add another sentence. Okay, let's look at another one. We're thinking those same questions. I put on my nice red jacket and started up the mountainside. Sorry about that. The grass was green and the sky was blue. After about an hour of steady hiking, I paused and looked behind me. The view from the mountain was unbelievable. How about that one? Do you have a picture in your brain? I saw a few more descriptive words. Could we add another sentence about it? Possibly. Okay. So, now it's our turn. So, the main thing of setting is to paint a picture for your readers. You want it to make a movie in your mind and your readers' minds. Okay. So, I am going to show you how to describe an important detail that I see, hear, smell, or feel. Okay. Then together, we are going to describe another important detail. And then you are going to practice describing that detail, that setting on your own. So for my I Do, I'm writing a narrative about adventure, playing adventure in gym. This was a big thing last year. I don't know if you guys got the chance to play this in gym class or if you tried to play adventure at your own house, but you had to work together as a team. And so I decided that I would write about that and what it was like, what the setting of that gym was like. Ready, set, go. Suddenly the gym filled with the sound of children as they began their first adventure station. So, did it paint a picture in your mind? Did I use some descriptive words using the five senses? I think my descriptive word here is the sound of children. I can hear yells and loud talking and laughs. So I think I did that. So let's go ahead and do a we do. So for our we do, I was thinking that we could think about our happy places. Anybody here have a happy place? I definitely do. And I always end up when I want to feel really happy. I think of myself in a field, laying down, looking up at the clouds, and trying to find pictures of animals and different objects in the clouds. So I want to put that into a setting story. Okay. I want you to think about your happy place, a place that makes you happy. And maybe as I'm writing my setting story of my happy place, you can be jotting down a couple sentences about your happy place. And as always, you can share your writing with a friend. That could be someone at home. It's always fun to share what you write. I love sharing my writing with you. So let's go ahead. So I'm going to start out with a sound. Swish, swish, swish. The grass. I'm going to go the tall grass. I'm going to use those descriptive words. The tall grass blew from side to side as I lay on my back looking up at the bright blue sky. Clouds dotted the, clouds dotted, Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second and think about my sentence. Sometimes writing doesn't just come to you. Sometimes you have to think about it. I want to talk about the clouds next. So I want to do a sentence about the clouds and use some descriptive words for that. So I could count the big, white, fluffy clouds above me. And looked, I'm actually going to change this to I loved counting the big white fluffy clouds above me and looking for objects hidden inside them. Okay, so let me read it again and make sure it all makes sense. Swish, swish, swish. The tall grass blew from side to side as I lay on my back looking up at the bright blue sky. I love counting the big white fluffy clouds above me and looking for objects hidden inside them. I love it. Hopefully, if you didn't get a chance to write while I was writing, pause the video, go ahead, write about your happy place. Share it with a friend or a family member. Okay, so before we get to the you do, think about what you learned today. What makes a descriptive setting? And what are some words you can use to paint a picture in your reader's mind? Okay, so think about that. Use the resources that I've included in your learning plans with all those different words. Maybe make your own list, maybe add words to that list. And here's your you do. Okay, so what you're going to need is this Writing Narratives Plan the Setting page. Now, they are only asking you to use 3 of the 5 senses, but you could add more if you would like, the sights, the smells, and the sounds, and you're going to describe a setting. You could use your happy place if you want. If you want to use something different, you can. Maybe something else from your milestone list that you created with Mrs. Rice. Once you do that, the only other thing I want to see is on a sticky note or a piece of paper or an index card, I want you to write some descriptive words, maybe ones with the 5 senses like I showed you, that would work in your milestone piece. And we are going to use them tomorrow, so don't lose them. Happy writing.